So, what was I gonna say? Take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay.
Looking like a raptor for.
Hey Glam Fam, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hamna.
And I'm Danish.
And together we are first of all, I want to thank you guys for all the love that you gave us on our anniversary shoot.
Shout out to Idrisa Studios. He is part of the DMV area photographers. And he also does videography as well. You know, to say the least, like he did an amazing job.
Killed
like
it.
he legit just
killed
killed it.
Okay, the
I don't know if he's gonna see this video
him.
or not, but straight up, this like straight shout out. I'm actually gonna send him a link for this.
Yeah, yo, he needs to.
But no, he did an amazing job. And you guys should definitely check him out.
Yep. Okay, so for today's video, a friend actually requested that I write like a journal about how my expectations aligned with my realities of getting married, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of read the journal with you guys, because I also asked Danish to write his own reflections of how his expectations differed from his reality or aligned with his reality. So as you guys know, we had our 5-year anniversary last weekend. I don't know when this video is going to be up, and we're also going to talk about things to talk about with your potential partner. So we're kind of smashing this all together in one video, which is going to be like a reflections, and then things that we wish we knew or things we didn't know, or just things that we think that you guys should know before you get married. So it's like
essentially lessons we learned as advice.
I mean, that's the best way I can word it. Like, this is just reflections.
These are our lessons that we personally learned.
Okay, so I have my own, like, notes. I think we should just go off of, like, we can, like, take turns reading them back and forth.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing that I wrote is that developing an understanding isn't something that can happen before marriage. So I'm just gonna go off of this topic. So you don't know someone unless you live with them. And I just think that if you're one of those people who believe in marriage, because I know a lot of people actually nowadays don't necessarily believe in marriage, but I believe in marriage, and I feel like anybody who believes in marriage, I don't think that you truly know someone until you're married living with them. I think that it's something that you need to develop as you're getting to know each other, and the only way you can truly get to know somebody else is in raw. Like if you're being 100% raw with them and sharing all your feelings and emotions and experiences with them. That was
one of the first things I wrote as well. Understanding is, I think, a sensitive thing. You don't really understand who you're with until you're living with them. You know, their habits, when they go home, what do they do, things like that. Like when you're dating or whatever and you're not living with each other, you're a whole different person when you're not with that person. So you can only be you when you're at home. And I think it's a long-term commitment. There's no such thing as, oh, they understand each other very well. There's always room for improvement, and I think that it's a long-term, I mean, marriage is a long-term commitment, so an understanding comes with that, pretty much.
Let's reflect back.
Okay.
So like, let's reflect on our understanding.
Okay.
I feel like in year 1, we had no understanding.
No.
At all.
Whatsoever.
The first 2 years of marriage, I feel like we were trying to understand each other, but we were trying
having a really
so
hard time.
Yeah, that it wasn't even working. Like, it's like we were trying too much without actually like seeing like what's in front of us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I really think that in 2020, being quarantined together has given us, like, now it's like, I think we finally have an understanding.
I think so.
We have become
we know what to
each
expect.
other's perfect partner.
Yeah, we know what to expect. It's and I think it's, you know, it's a great thing because it's become a reflex now.
Yeah.
It's not even like an understanding itself.
We're still learning though.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that you have it, but you have to work on it every single day. Like yourself. If you're not working on yourself every single day, then how are you going to be the best that you can be? When you're looking for that potential partner, I feel like if that person doesn't push you to do better, then it's not going to go anywhere. And you should be with somebody who brings out the best in you, not the worst in you. And that takes time, and it takes understanding, and it takes commitment.
Okay, so my next point in my journal was communication.
Yeah, I have that too.
I'll read what I wrote and then I'll kind of go into it. So I said,
We can
without
just go back and
communication, marriage is pointless. And I struggle with it as well. That doesn't mean that marriage isn't for you. It just means that you need to learn how your spouse communicates, and you also need to respect it.
Yeah.
Along with that, you need to express how you communicate as well. And I think, with that said, it's like everybody has a different way of communication. Everybody has a different love language. And Hannah always talks about her love language, and I never talk about mine, because our love languages are completely worlds apart.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing is where you have to work on that communication. The first 4 years, like Hannah mentioned, it was a serious struggle communicating.
Yeah. We weren't speaking the same love language.
No, we were not. We basically compromise and we meet halfway. And I think that only has started this year after
last year.
Well, sorry, last year.
We in 2021.
Oh yeah, I forgot. My
now.
bad. It's all the same thing nowadays.
True. Yeah, and it's not fair for you to expect your partner to know what's going on in your head. Like, they can't read your mind. You need to communicate with them. And if you're not communicating with them in a healthy way, then you're always gonna be like afraid to talk to them. And you shouldn't be afraid or shy or nervous or worry about, oh, what are they gonna think if I tell them this? You shouldn't have to worry about that. You should be 100% open with them.
Yep.
And I think I want to relate this back to desi culture, because in desi culture,
there's no such thing as
there's
communication.
no such thing as communication. Like, how many times have you told one of your parents? I know this happens to me all the time. I'll tell my mom something or I'll tell my dad something, and I have to go and tell the other parent the same thing, because I know that they're not gonna spread the word. Like, they're not gonna communicate. And I think it's also like something that we struggle with, because majority of us, if you're like one of the rare few who are lucky enough to see your parents and your whole family actually communicating with each other, this doesn't apply to you, but for the majority of us, we didn't have that. Like, it was hard for us to communicate, and I'm big on communication.
And honestly, I feel like our generation, or our age group, pretty much was more so hiding stuff versus communicating stuff. And
out
the
of
reason,
fear.
and out of fear. And the thing is, the reason we learned to hide better was because that's what everybody around us was doing. Yeah, get comfy, girl. See, think of it as your own home.
I know, but like, I don't want to be like leaning on camera like I'm tired or something. I'm
just look at you right now.
Why is there so much distance between us right now?
I don't know, really. Come closer.
No.
Come closer.
You come closer.
You come closer.
I like this
Don't
distance.
be sitting on the motherfucking crack. I just want to keep going in my crack.
Oh, I said about communication. I said, if your partner isn't talking about something, then you should. If you're mad at each other, give some space before talking about it. However, having a big blowout fight is better than silence. And the reason I said that is because in our dynamic, since Danish is the one who struggles with communication, he'll just stay quiet. And then I'll push his buttons over and over again to like get him to talk. And
she does that shit on purpose.
Yeah, but and when it does happen though, then Danish says some like stupid shit. And I know though that he doesn't mean it, and he's just saying it out of anger and frustration. But at least he's getting it out, because it's better than holding it in.
Yeah.
You always need to talk about it, and the only way you're going to talk about it is if you feel comfortable talking about it. Like, don't expect your partner to, like I said before, read your mind, because they can't.
The best way to start with that is to talk about everything. Literally. Like, no boundaries.
Lay it all on the table.
Lay it all on the
from
table,
the
exactly.
start.
And that's why I think that it's so important to spend time together, because if you're not doing that, you're not going to be able to develop an understanding, and you're sure as hell not going to be able to communicate.
Alright, next topic. I'm just gonna make this short and sweet. Don't expect to find the perfect partner, okay? Because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. You just need someone that you can share your life with in this up world, because honestly, like, shit sucks out here. You just need someone to have it suck too. Like, you need someone yeah, that's what I mean. You need someone to share the misery, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this one I wrote because this is something that I experienced So I wrote, don't change who you are to please anyone else, because the person that you married, like in our case, like Danish knew who I was before we got married. He knew exactly what my mentality was. He knew who I like wanted to be. I still felt the need to change after we got married because I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like I was a woman now and I needed to change who I am, and I need to be more concerned about people around me and how I affect them and stuff like that. And I was changing and I was unhappy because I was changing. So that's just something that I personally went through after getting married for the first couple of years. And once I finally like killed that like mindset, I just felt so free. Like I was like, it was so liberating. Like, okay, who cares? Who cares if, you know, somebody else thinks some way about me? And I shouldn't even worry about stuff like that. I just need to be who I am, because like, why should you live for other people? And I think that that has to do with culture, because we're trained to think that we should feel guilty for wanting to live our own lives and do us and not kind of sacrifice for the family.
Basically, like the mentality or the brainwash of lo que kenge.
Yeah,
so you're basically
exactly.
supposed to
I
live
always
by other
thought that.
people's rules. And it's kind of funny because it's like, it's your life. Why are you living with someone else's rules?
Yeah, and I honestly never really thought about lo que kenge until after getting married, to
Yeah.
tell you the truth. Because when I was younger,
That's culture. That's
I
culture.
was like,
Yeah.
who cares? Like, I'm young. I don't care what I'm doing right now. But then when I got married, I was like, oh, okay, I'm an adult now. Like, I'm grown. I'm married. So I need to watch what I'm doing and make sure that whatever I'm doing, it doesn't affect or hurt anyone else, specifically like family members. I'd like to cancel my subscription to 2021. I've experienced the free 10-day trial and I'm not interested. I need another cushion. I can't sit like this. I feel weird sitting on this side of the couch.
Get your shit in, girly girl.
What was I saying? I'm sorry, y'all. I feel really weird because I don't sit here when we film, and I thought, let's try something different. So I'm trying to find my position. But anyway, let's continue to the next. Let's continue to the next point.
I wrote, supporting one another is a key. When you support each other, it gives you room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Supporting goes a long way and builds means of communication as well. Supporting doesn't necessarily mean that you're only supporting them financially or, you know, whatever it may be. I think supporting goes in all aspects, whether it's emotional support in dreams or whatever it may be. Without support, you don't really grow together. I think as a couple, it's very imperative to communicate what your goals are, communicate what you want to do in life, so that way the person or your spouse could support you.
And if you're not there with them through their worst, then how are you going to see them at their best? Like, you should always be each other's push and motivation to keep going and moving forward. But at the same time, like, you shouldn't depend on them like to excel.
Yep.
Because if you're not hustling together, then you're not going to make it together.
Yeah. In this scenario, anytime I would think, you know, WWHD. And, you know, and that's more of a, you know.
What would Hamna do? Alright, so let's get into the next subject. So we're going to talk about things that you should talk to with your potential partner. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Things you should talk about with your potential partner.
That's what she meant, really.
What you munching on? Akele. You know what the problem is? Usually I'm sitting on your right side. Today I'm sitting on your left side, and I feel weird sitting on this side.
I'm the right guy.
See what I have to deal with?
I am the right guy. Never forget.
You're my right guy. You're my Mr. Right. Things to talk about with your potential partner. We could do a whole separate video on this, but I think we should just stick it in this one because I think it's relevant.
Yeah.
So, okay, before I even get into what I wrote, I'm just gonna tell you like the most important advice that I can give you. If you're serious with someone and you're planning on getting married to them, I highly recommend that you go to some sort of a marriage counseling or like marriage therapy session just to kind of get an idea of what your expectations are, because that third person will kind of help you break things down better and give you a different perspective on what your reality is gonna be. We did marriage counseling. Our parents told us that that was the condition. So, I mean, we benefited a lot from it.
I think we did, actually. I mean, the biggest question that he asked us was, do you know what you're getting into?
Also, I think it was beneficial for us because since it was our parents who told us to do it, like we did a session with them and we did a session without them.
Right.
And like when you're desi, I feel like everything needs to be laid out on the table ahead of time. All right, so this is stuff that I think that you should talk to with your potential partner, especially if you're desi, because when you're desi, it's a whole different ball game. Okay, so one of the things that I wrote that's huge in our culture is parents. So what are you gonna do when your parents get old? Who are you gonna live with? That's big because in desi culture, we talked about this in our last video. If you haven't seen it, check that out. But we talked about the fact that in our culture, usually we end up taking care of our parents. And so if you're in that situation, you need to be aware of it ahead of time.
Taking care of our parents is our responsibility. I think culturally, where there's a clash is where you kind of prioritize. Like you're kind of in a situation where you have to pick and choose. If you put your spouse first, which I think is the most important thing to do, because at the end of the day, yes, your parents raised you. Yes, you're supposed to take care of them when they grow old, etc. Yes, I agree with that. However, you have to build that relationship with your spouse at the end of the day, because you're going to be with your spouse the rest of your life. And I think culturally that has kind of been a little, up and down kind of thing, where it comes to a point where, oh, you have to take care of your parents, oh, you're gonna move in with your in-laws, and then there's like random drama here and there and all that kind of stuff. So the next thing we would like to discuss is the religion aspect.
Yeah, very important.
And by religion, I mean the halal and haram ratio. Now, at the end of the day, everybody has a preference,
yeah,
right? And I think that if you are looking for a partner, you have to have a middle ground between your halal and haram ratio at the end of the day.
You have to have the same ratio.
Yeah.
There needs to be a balance.
If you don't have the same ratio,
yeah, you're gonna have
there's gonna be lots of clash. And at the end of the day, there's no compromise in religion at the end of the day, right? I can relate to that a lot because I went to Islamic private school, and it's a whole different environment. And actually, that is going to be a whole different segment. I think we're going to go into more details and a little bit of juicy stuff.
The humble hearings from Brother Danish.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I feel like a lot of people are thinking what I'm going to say. I know so many people who will be able to relate, who went to school with me or who have been in that environment before. Because a lot of people do not speak on it at all, because it's kind of frowned upon. I think that whether it's frowned upon or not, I just think that it's very important to bring it out there, because you don't know what a student is going through, because you're just kind of built in that perspective that, oh no, they're going to Islamic school, it's perfect, period.
I think that we should kind of talk about what even is a halal to haram ratio, because some people probably don't even know. Like if you're from an older generation or a different generation, then you're not going to know what that is. Basically,
there's going to be a massive difference in opinion.
Yeah, because we grew up different. We were exposed to different things. I'll just give you like an example. Muslim kids who party and like drink and turn up and do all this shit, but where they draw the line is nobody eats pork. That's what I mean by halal to haram ratio. You know what I mean? Like there's always that one thing that you can't do, but you'll do everything else but. Yeah. And if you grew up here, you know what I'm talking about. Don't even try to fake it. I think that that's something that you definitely need to talk to with your potential partner, and just make sure that you're on the same page and the same level. And also, not just where you stand at the time of marriage, but also where you want to go. Like say that you marry someone who says that, oh, I want to start becoming more religious or like spiritual after getting married. Are you willing to take that step with me?
Yeah.
So that thing that I talked about.
And that needs to be talked about before, because a lot of people live a different life before marriage,
versus
and
after.
their goals sometimes after marriage is to become a whole different person. Don't get us wrong, like there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's
but
nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that you need to know,
discussed.
you need to talk about it before you marry the person.
It needs to be discussed. Yeah.
Finances. How much do you both make? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? So this is important, especially in the world that we live in today. Being stable. You want to be with someone who's stable. You want to be with someone who has goals. You want to make sure that you are with someone whose goals align with your goals, or if not align, someone who understands that you have your own goals and you know what you want to do after marriage. So for example, for us personally, we were both in school when we got married. Danish had like 1 semester left of college, and then I had like a whole
I had 2
2
semesters
years.
when we got married.
Oh, okay. That's definitely something that we had to talk about. If I was going to go to the same college and just stuff like that in general, because you don't realize you need to have like a whole finance sheet and sit down and actually talk about it. That's something that we learned hands-on.
I hated that sheet.
Danish would come out with like a whole finance sheet with a breakdown, and we'd sit there talking about it. And as much as I hated it, I still low-key appreciated it because it helped keep us on track. Or, okay, it didn't help keep us on track, but it helped keep us on the idea of being on track.
I think it kept us in a lane.
Yeah.
It was like, the fast lane, but it still kept us in a lane because it was like, knowing the expenses, it was like, okay, we can do this, but we can't do that. Yeah. Right? So it was like, you had to kind of pick and choose in that scenario. But I think that also goes into talking about careers, which is something that I wrote, that, you know, careers and goals. Like, you should definitely talk about your short-term goals, your long-term goals, because again, that kind of ties into your finances. Let's just say somebody doesn't want to work. How are we going to handle the finances? Like, we didn't talk about this and this and that, and that will bring clashes too. So when you get to a point where you're like, okay, these are my goals, then you know what you're getting into financially. It's very important to know those things, because then you're like, okay, well, if you have this and you're going to have a busy schedule and I'm going to have a busy schedule, why don't we create a separate time for just us to hang out?
Yeah, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with scheduling time together when you're older. I know when you're in the dating phase, everything you do revolves around that person because you always have time for them, because you're getting to know each other. So, you know, you're in that impressions phase, I like to call it, where you don't want to give them a bad impression of yourself.
Right.
So you're always available for that person. But once you get married, sometimes you kind of lose touch of those things. So you need to be okay with kind of having a schedule for even things as simple as like going and grabbing dinner. Like, okay, on Friday night we're gonna go grab dinner together, or just something like that.
And we struggled with that, actually.
Yeah, we struggled with that a lot. Oh, to add to careers, there was something else that I thought of when you were talking about it. But for careers, what if your career forces you to move to a different country or to a different state? That's something that you should also talk to your potential partner about. Are you willing to just get up and move your life with them? Are you okay with, for example, if one person is presented with an opportunity that could change your lives, would you take it, or would you have to sacrifice it for your family and for your partner? I think that's something that you should talk to your potential partner about, and just make sure that they know what your priorities are and you know what their priorities are. Okay, so the last thing I have for this is kids. Talking about kids. Huh?
Oh shit, I did have that.
You had kids too,
I
right?
had kids, yeah.
Yeah, so you missed that one. How many kids? At what age do you want to start having kids? What happens if you are unable to have kids? Like, you have to go through all of these scenarios with that person.
And don't be shy about it.
Yeah.
I think it's because you're stepping into something it's a long-term commitment.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just jump and expect different things, and then expectations lead to disappointments, right?
Will something somebody else said influence your viewpoint on whether or not you want to have kids? Like, for example, if you start getting pressure from your family or friends, is that going to make you want to have kids sooner? Because a lot of times in our desi culture, you see people having kids right away. Is it because you chose to, or it's because you were expected to have kids?
If you find common ground within that kid's situation, then anything anybody else says is not really going to matter. Because again, culturally, you're expected to have kids as soon as you get married.
how involved does your potential partner plan to be? Okay, there are too many desi kids from our generation who either have mommy issues or daddy issues.
Or both.
Or both, which is even worse, but very common. So what's their role gonna be in the kid's life? What's their idea of what a good father and a good mother is? And I know some of these topics may seem like, oh my god, like you expect us to talk about all these things when we're getting to know someone. Yes, if you have the intention of marrying them, you should be talking about these topics. You shouldn't be shy, you shouldn't be holding back. This is somebody that you're gonna be potentially spending the rest of your life with. So you need to be open enough to have these conversations with them.
And honestly, it saves your time if you think about it.
It does save your time.
Like if you know,
cut the bullshit. Just go
if you know
straight
what
to
that
it.
person, if that person doesn't have, if they don't align with your, you know, goals or whatever it is. I mean, then why waste your time? Why spend a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is? I mean, really.
If you guys already are in the same like phase of life where you're looking for someone to marry, then don't worry about scaring them away.
Yeah.
Like if they can't handle it, they can't handle it.
It ain't worth your time.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, talking about it, it could be triggering for a few people where they'll look at it as a threat, so to speak. Like, oh, this guy's moving too fast.
Yeah, like I can't.
I don't even know him yet, and this and that.
It could sometimes seem like a red flag.
Literally.
Like, why are they moving too
and
fast?
it could scare you away, like Hamna said.
And if you're in a situation where you have had like bad experiences with people and you're just trying to take it slow with someone, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person who is like trying to get married, who's getting set up with people, who's actually, you know, looking forward to this kind of phase in their life. I'm talking to you. I also know that there's a lot of people who don't want to rush into marriage, and
that's
you shouldn't.
fine.
You shouldn't rush
That's
into
fine.
marriage.
Right.
But I'm just like, these conversations I feel like you should have once your relationship has gone from short term to long term. I think that's when you should start talking about these things. So in our situation, the reason it took us so long to like turn into like to be official. So I don't know if we ever talked about like our
I don't think we ever talked about
yeah, I
this.
don't think we ever did. But okay, let me know in the comments below if you want to hear like our whole relationship story. But basically there was a time when we weren't together and like we were friends, but we were just like avoiding each other because I knew that Danish wanted commitment. He had told me that from the start, what he was looking for, and I just wasn't ready for it. So I like avoided him the entire time. I was like, look, I'm
She didn't really avoid me. We were part of the same group. Technically, it was, we just kind of acted like we didn't exist.
Yeah, we were in that I hate you phase, don't talk to me phase right now. But that was because we were so young, we didn't even know. And you were like barely 20 years old talking about, I'm looking for a long-term relationship. And I got scared, naturally, I got scared. So I was like, no. And then when we stopped talking, when we basically like, we broke up, even though we weren't together, but we just stopped talking. That's when I realized that I missed you. I actually missed you. And then I was like, no, like I need to come up with a plan and
lure him in.
yeah, and lure him in. But anyway.
That's a whole different story.
That's a whole different story. I'm not even going to talk about that in this video. There was something else I was going to say, value. How does this person add value to your life?
Damn.
Yeah, because marriage is like a business deal.
Damn.
It is too.
Damn,
so like,
girl.
how do you add value to my life, and how do I add value to your life?
Are you asking me this
Yeah, I'm
question?
asking you. It's gonna be on record.
You push me to do better.
Literally.
Literally, I'm not. This could be in anything, but she'll just be like, Danish, do better. And I'm like, bro, what the? Why? And she's just like, Danish, do better. So what value do I bring in your life?
I think that I know that.
Damn, she caught herself real quick.
No, but seriously, okay, so the value you bring
Let's
in
see
my
how
life-
diplomatic you are.
What do you mean? I'm not being diplomatic. I'm being honest.
Okay, be honest. Be
Even,
honest.
are you still questioning me even after?
Yeah, I'm waiting for your answer.
Okay, so I have to think first. Let me think
See?
about it. No, I know the answer. I
You
just
took a deep ass
I
breath.
need to know how to say it.
Okay.
Okay, so give me a moment.
Gather your thoughts.
Let me gather my thoughts and then I'll tell you how you bring value to my life. You helped me realize that I need to stay on track with what I need to do. Like with my mental health, sometimes I feel like really drained, and during those moments you help pick me up again and tell me like, no, it's okay, you're gonna be fine. And that's how you bring value to my life. Yeah, yo.
I'm ride or die.
You a real one.
You a real one.
Okay, and then this last bit to just kind of conclude. Some of you guys may or may not agree with this. When you get married younger, or I don't even mean young, I mean early, in terms of like when you know you're ready to settle down and get married, get married. I don't mean young in terms of age. I just mean young in terms of like your mindset.
You're ready to go into the next phase of your relationship.
Yeah, but at the same time, don't chase someone. Don't just like start talking to someone and jump into talking about marriage with them, like the next person that you talk to. Especially if you're coming out of a relationship and you're looking for a potential partner. If you rush into it, then you're gonna be like, you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to be completely emotionally ready. It's better when you go in with an open mind, because if you go in with the mindset that, look, there's no perfect person for me. I just need to, again, what I said earlier, find someone to go through this fucked up world with. You just kind of let go of the extra shit and you're just there for a good time. You need someone to have a long-term good time with. That's, to me, what marriage means, a long-term good time. Yeah, if you're not having a good time with your spouse, then...
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? You're gonna have a lot of ups and downs. You're gonna go through a lot of shit. It's gonna take you a long time. So I just think that be realistic with your expectations. Don't have expectations, actually. And at the end of the day, whatever makes you happy and comfortable is what matters the most. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yeah, I thought that this would be something cute to do together, to just kind of talk about random marriage shit. And you guys seem to like this kind of style of videos a lot, because I noticed that whenever I post something related to this, I get more views than if I just do a makeup tutorial. So clearly this is doing something. And thank you guys so much for supporting my videos and just my channel in general. I appreciate all of you. I'm also very excited to announce that Danish and I are going to be starting our own website very soon, and it's actually been in the works for a while now. It's just going to be a very traditional like blog style, where we can write our reflections some more, go through some travel, fashion, food, beauty tips with you all. I just thought that it'd be fun to kind of keep a collection. Make sure you guys check my updates on my Instagram. That's where I'm going to be announcing it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out, subscribe to my channel, and we will see you in our next one.
Bye.
Motherfucker!
Why'd you look at me right afterwards?
Because I knew you were shaking your head at me.
I'm lying back now.
I know, ready?